right, let's get this started, man. So first things first, because I'm slick jealous of you myself, but this traveling thing, man. How many countries have you been to at this point?
Honestly, I can't even count.
Really?
I can't even count. And I have so many more places that's on my list. So my love for traveling, I've always had a love for traveling because my mom exposed it to us at a very early age. But then it started back again. The summer of 2016, actually through Howard, we went to Ghana through this organization called Youth Africana, a leadership initiative. And the whole point of it was to conduct research and do community service out there. So we spent 2 weeks out there. We landed in Accra. We went to Kumasi. Kumasi is like the countryside of it. It was very rural. And then we went out to Cape Coast. And then from there, I decided to study abroad for a year. So I ended up spending my fall semester in Barcelona, which, in Europe, once you're there, it's very cheap to travel. So every weekend we were in like Italy. I ended up going to Berlin, ended up going out to Morocco. Crazy thing about Morocco, from Morocco to southern Spain, ended up getting like a $10 ticket. Insane. Like, it was literally insane. And then we also went up to Prague, $10 US dollars. I was like, maybe this is like a bad ticket, but it wasn't. So
some fake
definitely I was like, maybe this is a fake ticket, but it actually wasn't. It worked out pretty well. So I traveled a lot in Europe. Then my spring semester of college, so that was spring of 2018. That was actually the semester I was on track to graduate. I was a double major, so I doubled in econ and political science, and I was on track to graduate. But I was like, you know what? Gates is here for this. Why not travel for another semester for free? So I ended up going to Costa Rica, which my Spanish actually got a lot better in Costa Rica. And then I ended up going to Nicaragua as well, because we really couldn't travel a lot in Latin America and Central America, because at that time there was so much going on with all different types of governments. So it was just safer for us to stay in Costa Rica. So I'm still to this day, well, not right now. I was actually planning to go on another trip next month. I was like, you know what, maybe I'll go to Puerto Rico. These flights are like $150 right now. And then the flights got canceled.
I was gonna say, Diallo, you better not get on one of these planes.
Barcelona had my heart. Maybe because I spent a lot more time there, but just being there, I think it is. But being there, and like the people were so nice, but also seeing like elderly people. So that's why it kind of saddens my heart right now when I think about this virus and think about how it's affecting like the elderly community. And I think about Spain. I know they're gonna have a major hit. And so I think about that, and it's saddens my heart. It's Spain, Italy, which is why a lot of European countries are experiencing a lot of higher deaths, is because they have older populations.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Spain was like one of my favorite places to be. It was like, you get one part of Spain, you got the beach. Well, especially Barcelona, you have the beach, then you have the city life, then you have the people. And then while I was there, so the interesting part, while I was there fall of 2017, the Catalonia people were trying to actually gain independence from Spain.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very interesting time to be there politics-wise, because we were like getting classes canceled. You saw the people actually, like the Catalonia people were like standing up for their rights, because they felt like Spain was trying to wipe out their people by taking out their language from school, by like basically putting the people all in one area. So it was interesting to be there and see like how they even protest. So I remember going to a protest, and it was like a concert, and I was like, oh, this is peaceful.
Yep.
Ready to...
Let me ask you this. Did they think, and this is not a slight at you, but there's a reason why I'm asking this. Did they think that you were a prostitute?
No.
Did any men ever come up to you and proposition you?
No, they did not. But one thing that did happen though, when like, this is all over Europe, when they know that you're a American female, we have this very bad notion abroad that we're easy. And I think it has a lot to do with the way people consume alcohol, how people go out there and act. They act like they've never been away. So it's like we have this very bad notion, especially for American females when we go abroad. So you really have to be very careful. You have to watch who you go out with. You have to watch like anything that you eat, anything that you drink. You have to be very careful because out there, for American females is terrible.
Interesting. Yeah. The reason I was asking that because Millicent, when she went to Italy, I don't remember what part of Italy. She may have said Roma, Rome. I'm not really sure, but she said that the Italian men would like literally stop and like proposition her because they thought that she was a prostitute. Like for some reason or another, like a lot of African American or African women, when they went to Italy, I guess there was a stigma that they were a prostitute for some reason. So she said on multiple occasions.
That, and I would also say there's like this one thing I think I might not have experienced this, and I say this all the time because like I've had friends from Howard that studied abroad too, one in London and then one in Milan, and she was saying how because they were of darker complexion, they experienced a different type of racism as well because people will always think they were from Africa.
Right. Yep.
And when they thought that they were from Africa, the way they were treated compared to when people found out they were actually just Black Americans was very different as well.
Right.
To all the followers there, I'm West African. Originally, both my parents born and raised in Guinea, West Africa. So something that actually just happened like a little less than 2 weeks ago was, so they had a constitution change. So now we have the president there who basically, how do I put this? We have to pay attention. I think a lot of times what we have to do, especially within the Western world, and what traveling taught me is to pay attention to everything that's going on in the world, not just what's going on around me or like right where I am. Mm-hmm. And so one thing that happened in Guinea less than 2 weeks ago was there was a constitution change, and basically the president is now trying to get a third term, which is illegal because when the constitution was first set up, they were supposed to only get 2 terms, and they're both 5 years long.
Oh,
and now
Lord.
the constitution that they
we about to have Trump. We about to have Trump for a third term, huh?
Literally, he won't get out of office. It's kind of scary though because he was the first president they put in office since their freedom in 1958. That was like they had a fair election. Mm-hmm. So to see him go and change the constitution, and with that constitution change, there was bloodshed. A lot of people have been dying in Guinea, and there's been a lot of like even with the coronavirus, they're trying to fight for their basic rights, but then fight for their own protect their human rights. So it's kind of like there's so much going on in the world, and I think the one thing I would say for my viewers is pay attention to what's going on around the world. And when I say that, when it comes to government, I would also say pay attention to how like your local state officials and how your governors are reacting to this pandemic. Because you have a lot of governors that are voting against these bills that are like that would directly impact you and help you. So I would definitely say for our next election, especially in the United States, pay attention to these state governors, pay attention to these officials, but then pay attention to these 2 nominees because they still want to have the election in November. I don't know if we're going to make it to a presidential election in November, but It's important to pay attention because I think a lot of times people only pay attention to the presidential election, not understanding how local elections impact your taxes. Right. Or it impacts the schools that's zoned in your area, or it impacts the businesses that come into your area.
Right. Absolutely. Well said. Well, oh my God. I'm so sad. So proud of you. I'm so proud of you for real. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you being on our podcast, man.